Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Alex's Afternoon Art Show. I had to remember what show I was doing there for a second. But yeah, today we are drawing a character who I didn't realise I've not really drawn all that much in recent memory, which is Batman, surprisingly. You'd think I'd draw Batman more, but I've actually only ever done one episode with Batman in it. That being the first. But yeah, this time we're doing something a little bit more detailed, because the last time it was obviously a side profile, very basic, that was the point of the episode. But today we're doing something a little bit more, slightly more complicated. We're doing a full body shot, technically. And yeah, today I think I'm going to be discussing a little bit of, not necessarily perspective, but I think I'm going to be touching a little bit on what am I going to be talking about? Well, I mean, I'm drawing Batman. That's enough to get people to watch. But yeah, yeah. So that's the kind of more or less all I need to go into right now. I think I'm probably going to talk a little bit about maybe referencing. I don't actually know what I'm talking about here with this one. It's a pretty basic one, anyways, for the most part. This shouldn't take as long as the other ones. I hope that was the point of doing this. But anyways. I will roll the intro and then we'll begin. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I mean whenever I say we're dealing with something a little bit more simple. We're dealing with a pretty basic pose. This is a gliding pose. With my reference, what I did was I did have reference of a man jumping, but I didn't use very much of it, to be perfectly honest with you. I had to use different arms, the legs obviously are hand drawn, I believe. And yeah, Batman, we're doing the underpants, because of course we're doing the underpants. Now, I'm going to need to look up a little bit of reference here for what I want to do with this, because as it stands, I mean, obviously what you can tell is pretty basic of what I've got here going on. It is a bit of a darker day today, so you're probably going to see the white light hitting me quite hard here. But yeah, let me look up some reference of Dan Mora's Batman, because I want to maybe use some of this as reference for how he kind of draws Batman's design, because I find that I don't really have a Batman design particularly that I go for. Might maybe change this bat on his chest. The bat on his chest is quite uninteresting to me. I maybe feel like I could maybe make that a little bit more interesting. His hands obviously aren't done. I didn't bother doing his hands because they're going to be covered a little bit by the cape, because what we're doing here as opposed is we're going to be having him cupping the cape and then pulling it over like that, and that's the kind of way he's gliding. But it's also kind of partly a leap, so it's not fully a glide, so to speak. But the background I'm probably going to do just a red or something, and then I'm going to have like bats around him. That's kind of what I'm going to do, just as something kind of basic. Yeah, I think I'm going to maybe just put like some little lines in and along the kind of chest and everything around there to kind of give it a little bit of something. Yeah, I might point out or I might give the kind of the cowl more of a point in it. Yeah, I think I'll work from there more or less. Yeah, as I said, the kind of goal here is keep this basic. What I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to, because obviously this isn't like hugely detailed or anything, because it's quite a bit smaller than some of the other ones I've been doing recently. This belt is obviously very basic. I'm going to need to fix that. But yeah, like some of the stuff which I'm going to do is I'm probably going to be using very heavy black on this. I think I'm actually going to be doing lots of just pure black. I think I'm not going to use a huge amount of what do you call it, like colors on this. I think I'm mostly going to go with black, but what I'm probably going to do, actually, now that I think about it, just so that I can get the shading to show up on it, is I'm going to use a color which is nearly black, whenever I go over it in color. So I'm just going to be doing lines actually. The more I think about it, and I'm going to go over this with a color that is very close to black, but crucially not black, so that I can go in and do my shading and everything afterwards. But yeah, that means I'm probably going to need to apply a little bit more detail and stuff to the face to know what I'm doing. But yeah, I obviously gave him the big ears. I prefer Batman with big ears. I might have to go in and maybe do more details on some of this stuff, because as it stands, some of it is a little basic. I'm going to maybe change this bat symbol because I don't love the way that this one looks here. It's not really doing it for me. It's not wide enough. I think it should be wider. But yeah, I think that's kind of most of the stuff I'm going to change. Oh, and I'm probably going to do the inside of his cape as purple, I think, because I don't mind that as like a little bit of a detail. Plus, if I'm going to be going for like really hard blacks on his mask and everything and gloves, I don't want the inside of the cape to be the same color, because you won't be able to really make out any of these details. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to go for now. So I might just start doing this, and then I'll be back whenever I am, well, whenever I have more to say, or whenever I'm done with the details, whichever comes first. So yeah. Oh yeah, I normally give Batman stubble as well. I don't mind it. I kind of prefer the stubble Batman, but yeah, I think I'm gonna roll with that. I think that's how I'm gonna go with this. But yeah, I'll be back at some point. Okay, so that is our details done, more or less. I know that this kind of fold of the cape looks kind of crap as compared to this one, which is a lot better. But I'm not going to fix this, and the reason for that is because I think it would take too much time, and I'd basically have to redraw the whole hand. Because part of the reason why this one looks better is because I gave the hand a better position. But yeah, so one of the things that, yes, I fixed all the bat and everything. I fixed the bat symbol, gave him some forehead detailing, all this stuff, and gave him a little seams on the costume. Again, I mentioned this a lot of where I talk about lines, just adding lines. In this instance, I think adding just a pair of seams just to add something is it's not quite the same as just adding lines for the sake of it. In the same sense, I am technically doing that. So if it is the type of thing where it comes across as hypocrisy, I try to avoid that, but I suppose it can be interpreted that way. But yes. Oh yeah, another thing which I forgot to mention at the start of the video is that this is, technically speaking, supposed to be the first of 4 Halloween-themed videos, because yes, this will be coming out. These will be coming out in the first, or well, across 4 of the weekends of Halloween, or not Halloween, October. Technically speaking, the Ryu one came out on the 1st of October, but well, yeah, technically speaking, that came out on the 1st of October, but that was before I decided on doing this, so yeah. Well, regardless, this will be the first of 4 Halloween-themed videos. You'll see the rest of those as I'm going, but yeah, it is quite bizarre that I never actually have, or not that I never, but that I haven't really done Batman in this. But yeah, I changed some of the details of his face. Again, I didn't touch on this at the start, but I always do Batman's eyes as the kind of almost like cartoony shape, because I feel like it's the only way I can make the white eyes look normal to me, if they have that shape, if they follow that shape. Because I find that whenever they conform to a normal eye shape, they just don't look right for one reason or another. But yeah, I made this bat something kind of my own. It's not exactly let me just trim off some of the edges here. It's not exactly the one that you'd see in Dan Mora's design, but it's also not exactly the one that I started with. So it's kind of my own thing, I suppose. But yeah, yeah, it's sort of unique, but yeah, it is kind of still that. I gave the kind of symbol these kind of little curls here and there. I'm just trying to kind of clean it up here now, because obviously I did this quite rushed. Well, not even quite rushed, but I just did it in such a way where I was kind of sketching it out. But I suppose I'll just clean it up here, and then yeah, we'll begin the colors. Again, the colors shouldn't take too long. I'm still going to be doing little bits of painting, but those won't obviously take very long, because I'm not going to paint the black, because I'm only going to do the black as a color so that I can do just the detailed shading. But that's the only reason I'm really doing that. Otherwise, I would just do it as the same color as the details. I would just do it as pure black. But for the sake of keeping things clear, I'm not doing that, because obviously it would blend into the back of the cape, but the cape is going to be purple. The inside of the cape is going to be purple, just to try it out. I don't normally do that, but I don't mind the inside of the cape being purple as a design element. But again, we shall see what that looks like. Yeah, this is a bit of an odd shape here. Need to clean that up. Yeah, that's looking a little better, more or less. Yeah, I just want to keep all these edges nice and clean, because again, if there's one thing that should look clean, it is the bat symbol. And also the shape of Batman's head, but I already did that. That was the first thing I did, obviously, so trying to look at this from multiple angles because it's like the screen on this tablet is a little old, so it's kind of worn down a little bit in certain places, so it's kind of hard to get a clear view of how well certain things are coming across. And unfortunately, one of those things is the quality of the lines. This is part of why you see sometimes there's those little holes in my coloring, and that's just mostly because of the kind of the age of the screen. But yeah, so that should more or less do us for this. I didn't mean to do that. Let's just fill that in like that. This part is done. That's done, that's done, that's done. Okay. Right. Well, now it is time for the colors. So, I've already got things prepared. I should just put in my background color now because it's just going to be red. Yeah, it's just going to be red. That's the background color. I'm going to make it a deep red. I don't want it to be too bright because otherwise it'll just be eye piercing, but you know what, I might actually make it a little brighter than that. Make it darker maybe. No, it's not right. Well, the texture will help kind of disperse this anyways, but I might go over this and maybe fix it at another point because it's still not quite looking right to me. Maybe it needs to be, well, maybe I need to put a little bit of a pink tone in it so that it's slightly, because we're going to be using maybe like a purpley color grade on this whenever we do the gradient map, so yeah, we're doing that anyways. But anyways, I'm saying anyways a lot. But yeah, I will do the colors, and then I'll be back to do the painting, which should take maybe 5 minutes. Really shouldn't take too long to do that. But then I will do the line shading, and then I don't know why I'm going through all of this now, but then I'll do the light line in the background and all that little stuff. But yeah, anyways, I will do this. Okay, so that is our colors done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the painting, which again, as I said before, shouldn't really take very long. We're going to go with 70% on this, I think. And realistically, we're going to be going quite mild shading on the painting, just to kind of give it a little bit of texture, more or less. Because realistically speaking, there's not a huge amount to this from here on out. The painting really shouldn't take very long because I'm not going to be painting over the black, I'm not going to be painting over the purple, so we're just going to be doing the skin, the grey and the yellow. That's all we're painting over. I think I'm just going to have the lighter part be along the back just so that it's easier for me to do, so that I don't have to do a huge amount of light. I maybe have to do some light here, some light along the tops of some of this stuff, but maybe along here, but otherwise it's mostly going to be dark. Just to make my life a little easier. But yeah, I will start doing this painting here, and it shouldn't take too long. So I'll be back in a few minutes, maybe. Okay, so now that I have done the brief little bit of painted shading that I need, I am going to go over everything with the fine detailed shading, which I will use to get a little bit of detailing into those black areas here. Namely on the forehead and areas like this, I'm going to be kind of putting it in a little bit there, so that you can get those kind of a little bit more definition onto Batman's anger lines. And then I think I'll probably do the light line in here with this as well, because it probably won't take very long. But yeah, other than that, I think we're more or less gearing up for the end, realistically, which means this has been a quicker one, if only by a very little amount. But yeah, it is starting to get dark, so you might see the lights come on during this whole section. Who knows? See, the worst part is it's not actually dark in here all that much. Its problem is obviously seeing it on screen. I'm now illuminated quite harshly. But yes, anyways, I will do this detailed shading, and then I'll lump in the light line because it'll just be quicker to do that. And then I'll be back to do the background stuff. Yeah, and that'll be us. But yeah. Okay, so that is our character done, which means it's basically done. But I do have a few other little things that I want to do. Firstly, I want to do some bats. Yeah, you might have noticed that I had a bit of a scan over it here for a little while, because I wanted to be certain that I got all this kind of right. Even now, I feel like maybe I want to thicken out that light line along the ears a little bit, just so that it feels like it kind of has a little bit more flow to it. Yeah, I think that looks a little better, but of course there's going to be that little bit of jaggedness whenever you zoom out. It's just going to happen. But yeah, now I will do some bats. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some bats kind of pluming in and out around him, just behind him. I'm not going to have any coming in front of him. Realistically speaking, they should just kind of fill out the frame a little bit, because otherwise the frame is going to be kind of empty, which I don't want. So I'll do some bats, and then I'll be back to do our finishing touches, such as gradient maps and texture, so on. But yeah. Okay, so I've done the bats in the background, meaning I've not got much else to do other than I gotta sign up. I gotta do a quick signature. I've got to change my brushes. That's probably the first thing I gotta do. Change my brushes back to how they were. I think I'm going to. I've got to sign it. I've got to do textures. I'm going to do 2 textures on this. So I'm going to do a texture for the background specifically because we're only doing a single color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the texture so it's the other way around. So you're going to get a little bit of extra texture on the background. And it'll be a little stronger. But on the character it won't be quite as strong. But yeah, I'll be back in just a moment. Now, I just had down to the door there. So I'm back. And yeah, I have to sign this. I think I'm going to do my signature in black, but my question is, where am I going to put it? I think I'm just going to put it in the corner down here. It's the most clear corner, because obviously don't want to put it too in with the bats, because then it'll just get lost. There's no point in having it if it's just going to get completely lost, so yeah. That is not a good signature. That is also not a good signature. Tell you what, I think the thing that I've been doing the most in these more recent videos is the bloody signature. It's the thing I've had to redo the most. There we go, Jesus. Okay, there's a signature. It's a little thick. But yeah, now I'm going to do the gradient maps, which that's probably the easiest thing to do right now. Because yeah, I gotta do 2 textures, so yeah, let's do a gradient map. Now I don't know if I've shown this before, but anytime actually no, I have done it before because I've done a couple of Batman adjacent drawings, but generally with stuff that I do which is Batman or Batman adjacent, I tend to go for a very particular color palette, that being purple as our darkest color, and then as our lightest color, a very, very bright red. Which in theory will kind of disperse between our colors, and then our mid color is pink, as a kind of a pinky color. But here you're going to see that that's going to look a little weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pink like this, bring it up there, and then I'm going to bring that to about here. Then I'm going to do this one, and this is going to be a darker kind of pinky color. So that should disperse our colors a little better. I might even make this one a little brighter so that it's more on par with our red and doesn't kind of go a little too crazy. But yeah, obviously this is going to be washing things out quite a bit in certain areas. So let's have a look at this on overlay. On overlay, this is making Batman look quite dark, which again, we do want it to be dark because that's kind of the nature of things here. But I'm going to actually put this on a soft light, because we don't want his grey to just be purple like it was before. Then we're going to turn it down to, I think, about 60% should do us. Yeah. This is going to kind of hide some of the lines on his face that I put in. That's just going to happen anyways, naturally. So now we got 2 more gradient maps to do. So I'm just going to make a duplicate of this, and then put it underneath, make it luminosity, make it 20%, make a duplicate of this, and then put that over everything, then make it a color burn, and turn it down to about 5%. Now, of course, this obviously is going to look a lot darker on screens, but whenever we're looking at it here, it's not too bad. But yeah, it does make Batman's eyes quite that kind of like light pinky color. I think that's mostly the luminosity layer. Yeah, it's entirely the luminosity layer. But yeah, we do want everything to kind of have that darker sheen to it. So yeah, this is a nice and simple one for the most part, but I'm going to grab my texture here and throw that in here very quickly. But yeah, as I say, this is a nice and simple one. It is technically speaking shorter than the previous recordings, because the previous recordings were generally in the 4 hours. I mean, the Ryu one was what? That was 6 hours, I think, technically speaking, of actual recording. But this one is, yeah, significantly shorter, all in all. So yeah, let me throw this in here. I'm actually going to have to, whoops. I'm actually going to have to bring this up here because as it stands, it is it's underneath the gradient maps, which we don't want. So let's turn this to an overlay, turn it down to about, I don't know, 25%. Place it, bring it up, and then have a little peek at certain areas here where we should be able to see it. So obviously it's not doing much to the background as it stands. It's doing very subtle things to the background right now, but we want more intensity on the background. So it's obviously not doing a huge amount to Batman either, because obviously the black here is very dark. You can see it a little bit on the cape, which is obviously where we're going to want to see it. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a duplicate. I'm going to put it all the way down here underneath our bats, so it's exclusively on the background. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to place it again. And I'm going to turn this down to about 10 or 15%. Let's see how that looks. So it does lighten up our background quite a bit because, of course, all our gradient maps have darkened everything quite a lot. So you can see that while this is on, it really does brighten up the background quite a little bit. And of course, it's obviously very visible, the texture. Here you can see all of these little blotches which are created by it. But we don't have to sacrifice on having the milder texture on Batman, so that we're not sacrificing on the readability of anything here to get the background to be a little bit lighter. Because yeah, of course we want Batman to be to still be a little darker, because of course, well, he's Batman, and two, he's supposed to kind of blend into the bats a little bit. But yes, so we want obviously the background to kind of be a lot brighter, so that it kind of contrasts against everything we've got going on. But yeah, I think that will do us for today. Yeah, I don't know if there was anything else I meant to say. This is, again, as I said, this has been a little bit of an easier one, a little bit of a quicker one. I will tell you for one thing that the next one is not going to be easier or quicker. It's probably going to be one of the longer ones. But yeah, as it stands, this is a pretty reasonable one in terms of time spent. This is the 3.5-hour recording, which is quick for these now. I don't know how they got so long. They used to be quick. I used to be able to get these done in about, God, I don't know. I think I used to be able to get them done in about 2 hours, more or less. A lot of the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 drawings were pretty quick. Anyways, before I get too solemn about things not being quick anymore, yeah, I think that is us. I don't think there's much more I need to say. The light line and all that stuff all very basic. Again, as I say, this is a kind of a basic one, but I think that's you need to do that every now and then. You can't have every drawing be incredibly complicated like the Ryu one. Again, I did not expect the Ryu one to be complicated, but you know, I had to do a lot of painting on that one. This one I only had to paint very little, meaning that I basically didn't have to do any shading at all on a lot of this, because I didn't really do much shading on the black, didn't do much shading on the purple. Oh yes, I meant to mention that I was going to do some darker shading along the black, but unfortunately it didn't kind of look right, because my shading color was a little too much lighter than the black, meaning that ended up making the black look kind of weird. Whenever I had the shading on it, it didn't look quite right. It was kind of it was washing out the black, which I didn't want, so I just didn't shade it with the dark color at all. So I only gave it the lighter shading and this little bit of rim lighting along the boots. Same with the purple. I didn't think it was necessary. I didn't intend on really shading the purple anyways. Purple's just there to separate Batman from the bats, and obviously divvy up his colors a little bit more, and again separate him from the background. But yeah, I think that is an art video completed. Meaning, all I have to do is the outro, and then that'll be us. So, yeah. What do I normally say at the end of these videos? So, yeah, if you liked the video, do whatever it is that you normally do, whether that be liking it or not. Again, I am indifferent, but of course I would prefer if you liked it, because, you know, I made the video. But yeah, if you like the video, I would prefer a like, but again, so long as you don't leave anything negative, I'm happy with nothing. But yeah. Yeah, if you want to subscribe, it's the same deal. You know where the button is. You've presumably watched a video before, a YouTube video that is. So you know where the subscribe button is. If you're gonna hit it, you're gonna hit it. If you're not, you're not. I've made my peace with the fact that the choice is out of my hands. But yeah, anyways, and yeah, if you choose to watch the next video, I will see you next time. But yeah, with all that said, that is us. So I will say goodbye, and then I will leave you. So, bye-bye.